Shalom, everybody, and we are trying something new here. We are having conversation with Uriel Romano. Uriel Romano is our rabbinical student from the Seminario Rabbinico Latinoamericano, the rabbinical school in Buenos Aires, from which I received ordination as well. And Uri is working at Hillcrest for 2 months, January and February, and we are enjoying his company and his wisdom. And I wanted to use this opportunity, Uri, to maybe to have a conversation and to see how it works. One thing that happens to all of us, or that happens to me, I have been in America for 15 years and out of Argentina for 17 years and in the same congregation for 7.5 years, that when you are in the same place for a long time, then you don't have too much of an opportunity to reflect on your own practices. You do things the same way you do, when you come new, you do things differently, and then you continue doing things in a particular way. And I can say I forgot somehow some of the things that I was doing in Argentina, or how things were in Argentina, or even if I didn't forget, things, I guess, they are different now than the way they were. So I am curious to have this conversation with you and to hear what you have to say about this double question. What do you see that Argentina, the Argentinian Jewish community, the congregation that you are involved in, what you see there, can teach our congregation or the American way of living a congregational life from what you see? What can we learn from the Argentinian experience today? And also I'm just curious, the other side, what can you take from what you see here in Queens, or what are the strengths that you get from our congregation, from Hillcrest Jewish Center, from your experience with the other rabbis here, to take to Argentina? That's my question, and let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I could have some ideas. The first one, what can we, the Latin Americans, bring to these communities? Those are my ideas that I learned all my life in Argentina that I think are very important. The first one is to be open-minded, to always improve innovation, new things. We all know that in Argentina, in Latin America, the things don't work as they usually do, and we don't have all the resources, and we don't have everything that we need, that we should have to establish a well-done organization of the community. But I think something good from the Argentinian ideology and culture is to make what we can with our own possibilities, to open our minds and to say, okay, we have this, this and this, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough room, but we could do some good stuff about this. Flexibility, I think, is a good word to describe
How to
it.
use flexibility and creativity to make things happen.
Yes, I think that's a good sentence.
We have this expression in Buenos Aires, I don't know if they use it, we use it, lo atamos con alambre. We tie it with a wire, when things get broken, we fix them the best way we can.
That's the idea. I think the American people they're used to have everything in order. Everything works as it should be, and when it doesn't, everything is a big problem. So I think a fresh air from the Latin American experience is, okay, don't worry, we could arrange ourselves with the things that we have already here. Mm-hmm. And some other ideas that I could share with you, maybe today, from my own experience, is the youth movement. I think one of the most beautiful things that we have in Argentina, in many of our conservative congregations, is the youth department over there, how it works, how what we do, our camps, that is in some cases are very similar or different with Camp Romano, but the idea that the presence of youth in synagogue, it should be very important, and it should be carried like in the top list of our priorities as a community.
we are trying to work this in our synagogues, in other synagogues, but I think that it's always a place where there is room for improvement. Is there a central youth organization in the Argentinian congregations like USY here?
Yeah.
Or every congregation does their own thing?
Yeah, it's called Noam. It's what is USY here. It's called Noam, but most of the congregations that are in the conservative synagogues, they work by themselves. They have some joint project, they some camps during the year, or some stuff for the leaders, for the madrihim, but most of it they do it by themselves in their communities. Yes, but I think one of the most important things is trying to think what are the young people looking, like my age, people of 20, 25 years old, what they are looking, and we should go out from our synagogue. In Argentina, many youth organizations are saying, okay, the young people could want Torah, could want Jewish experience, but the temple, the chapels are not welcoming from the youth. So we could bring the same ideas, the same learnings, and the same experience outside, in a bar, in some other interesting area around our cities. So I think that's a refreshment.
To rethink the synagogue, not in terms of, or the congregation, not in terms of the four walls, but how to take the congregation outside the congregational.
Yes.
Is something that the synagogue can do it by itself, according to your experience, or you need many synagogues to do this together? Is this like in Argentina, let's say that you take Betel or Pardes or Amihai, these are names of congregations in Argentina, can each of them have their own, let's say, 20 to 30 program, or you need to come together with other synagogues?
I think it all depends in the quantity of the people. How many members does the synagogue have? There's big synagogues that don't need to get along with another synagogue and have a joint project, but there's I think most of them should bond each other and do some joint project, because what the young people is looking is for new faces. And when you always saw the same face during religious school or the bar mitzvah classes over here in your synagogue, you want to see new faces that have your same ideas, your same feelings, or different ones, but you could share with them.
Thank you. That's something we need to work together. We are doing some things together with other synagogues, but it's always good to refresh the concept. And what do you think can you take from here to Argentina? What things that you see here so far in your visit that you think that we could export to Latin America?
Okay. I will say at least 3 or 4 things.
Let's hear them, Uri.
Okay, the first one.
Yeah.
The first one should be about prayer. What I love the most here in Hillcrest Jewish Center is that the people know how to pray. Many people know how to lead a service. So the rabbi is not the Hassan, is not the cantor that is making all of us sing the prayers and lead the service, but he could be seated or wandering all around the synagogue, and there's many other people that could lead the services. And when some day the rabbi is not able to come, you should not close your shield, or you should not go out and say what I will do. There's people that could fill the position of leading a service. And that's very important for me, the idea of a rabbi not to be in the center of the synagogue leading the service, but the main role should be teaching to the congregation how to pray and how to lead a service. I think that's something beautiful. Seems it's a good idea that we should take to our Latin American experience. What could be the second one? Because I said I have 4 and I don't have good memory.
I will take even 3.
You will take even 3. And one other thing that me and my girlfriend really appreciated from our staying here is the welcoming, the Aknasat Orchim. one of the most important mitzvot here in the whole Torah is about how you welcome the strangers. How do you receive the people that is not from your own congregation? And here is a virtue that we should learn very much in our congregation in Argentina. Inviting someone from Shabbat, or just saying hi, just saying hello, just a little smile, asking your name, what are you doing, or if you need something. That's a quality that we should encourage our congregants, our communities in South America to have, because I think, and I really believe, Rabbi, that when people look for a synagogue, they don't, it's not the only reason is to hear the speech and the Dvar Torah of the rabbi, but to feel like home. And if you do it, more people will be feeling at home. That's something that I learned from here.
We are trying to work on that here at Hillcrest. We are proud of what we are doing, but there is always room for improvement. How to become a welcoming congregation.
Yes.
And this is something we are working on it. But it's good to hear that this is the way you feel about Hillcrest.
And the last idea I want to share, just to finish, I say I have 4, I will give just 3.
3, we'll take 3.
Okay. It's about the services, the minyanim. There's in the culture of the Argentinian communities, they have some idea, and it's very strong, about if you have more than one minyan in the same synagogue, that will split the community. That will make apart some parts of the community. They will split, and they will become 2 synagogues, separated one from the other. And what I learned over here is that when you split and you have different minyanim for different ages, different ways to pray and to connect with God, that's something that doesn't separate the community, but it brings it more closer, because the whole idea is that it's not only from one way that we could enter in a conversation with God. If we have the idea that every human being, every Jew, has his own way to connect with God, if we only offer one service, one way to pray, we are cutting with it. Okay, if you do it like we do, okay, if not, you have to look for another synagogue, for another Beit HaKnesset. But if we offer to our congregants, from teens or for kids of kindergarten or primary school or even adults, more than one service, we are saying we here in Hillcrest is a house with many rooms. We have a place to each one of you. So I think that's another beautiful idea to bring back home.
It's wonderful that you mentioned it. It's very interesting. Just to tell you briefly a history of this congregation, which I believe you are referring to the fact that last Shabbat we have 5 minyanim at Hillcrest. We have the main minyan in the sanctuary, and then we have 4 youth minyanim, one for the little children kindershul, then we have minyan katan, then we have junior congregation, and Uri started 2 or 3 weeks ago a teen minyan, and they have here in my office working, like I think got like a minyan of teens davening together and studying Torah, and I think you are referring to that experience. We have a history here. At one time, when that was before I came to the shul, but the congregation was in a big, I would say, struggle about becoming egalitarian, and they have like 2 minyans at one time, the main non-egalitarian minyan in the sanctuary, and an egalitarian minyan in the Prince Room, in the outside the Fairclough Chapel, and was a time of friction in the congregation, and somehow this idea of a double minyan doesn't bring in some people the best associations. But what I hear you saying is that not necessarily because of ideological reasons you should have like more than one minyan, but maybe you can get a learner's minyan. You can get a minyan of people who may do things in an alternative way. Certainly maybe a minyan for people who are just beginning their religious practice, or people who are maybe more interested in I don't know, including some English in prayers. Interestingly enough, this is the practice in some Orthodox congregations in the neighborhood. There is one congregation, Young Israel of Jamaica States, that they call it an Ashkama Minyan. They start at 7:30, people end at 9:45. They want to have the rest of the morning for themselves. They don't want to hear a long Dvar Torah. They want to come, daven, and it's a small minyan, but like 40 people come and daven in that minyan, and then the main minyan starts at 9:30 or at 10, and it's a different group of people with different interests. Sometimes it has to do with the possibilities that each group has to, each congregation, to open different minyanim and to make them available to different people without breaking your own structure. Sometimes, and this is something that I think we need to learn also, is maybe to think in terms of queens, not only in terms of our own shul. Maybe our own shul cannot offer 5 different minyanims for adults, or 3 different, or 2, but maybe if we combine some efforts with other shuls and we think outside the box, in the future we might be able to work on some of these ideas. But I want to thank you now, Uri, first of all, for coming from Argentina and for enriching our life here at Hillcrest. Uri has been teaching a few adult education classes, leading a teen minyan, helping me in the congregation, visiting the sick, and also learning from some of the things that we do here at Hillcrest. We are very grateful for your presence here.
Thank you for the invitation.
And if you haven't met Uri yet, please come and meet him during services, or come to one of his classes. Uri is staying here until the end of February, and hopefully this will be a beginning of a strong relationship between you and our congregation, between you and myself. And thank you so much, and Shabbat Shalom.